here for No Smoke Sports. Such a sensational card. I mean, I was thrilled. I'm sure everybody here in the huddle has been thrilled at that. What was the highlight for you?
Look, I think that finish there from Lewis Crocker was tremendous. Am I allowed more than one highlight?
Mate,
Is that how life works? You're allowed only one highlight?
Have as many as you want, brother, especially for that 5K run.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the highlight for me, being able to get around that 5K run without stopping too much. The Chev Clark performance as well for me was a brilliant fight, and Visioli's knockout was tremendous as well. But I don't mean to miss anyone out, but there are a few of my highlights.
Frank, we saw Conor Walker and Paddy Donovan get two very good wins on this card tonight. Do you think those two could meet in a clash, or is it more likely that Crocker and Paddy Donovan clash next?
Yeah, great win from Conor Walker. He's a brilliant fighter. We saw that in the Cyrus fight. There is a potential still of the Cyrus fight. We have to see when he's back and ready. You know, the focus for us was to get Conor out. You know, he'd been waiting a long time for that fight, and we didn't want to mess him around. We wanted to get him a fight. So the focus is still to try and do the Cyrus rematch at some point, subject to Cyrus being fit and ready. For me, the Lewis Crocker against Paddy Donovan fight is a natural fight. I think that's one we've got to focus on trying to make.
Definitely, and Chev Clark's performance as well, it was excellent against Tommy McCarthy as well. Who is next for him, or are you going to try and enforce that mandatory with Isaac Chamberlain?
Yeah, look, brilliant win from him, you know, and just his, I think, 8th fight tonight, going in there against Tommy McCarthy, Tommy McCarthy showed a lot of heart in there, you know, he's always been like that, and it was a real step up for Chev Clark and the type of win he needs. We made a massive offer for Isaac Chamberlain to box her for that fight. They didn't want it, you know, by far and beyond his highest payday to date. They said they're focusing on the European title, which fair enough, but just hopefully they don't hold up the British belt, you know, because it should be his chance to go and win that belt, and I think he's ready for that now.
Frank, sorry, Rico here for No Smoke Sport. I have to ask you, mate. I've spoken to Isaac, and Isaac actually said, you know, with a Vidal fight, 250K, that's the money that he's looking for. Was that the money? Is that the amount of money that he was looking for a fight with your man Chev down there, or nearabouts?
They never actually came back with an amount of money they wanted. We made him a huge offer, which I can confirm would be buying. No, not 250. Depends what currency. We made him a massive offer, you know, far and beyond what he's ever made in his career before. You know, we were involved in a number of Isaac Chamberlain fights as well in the past, but you know, I don't know whether they spoke to him about it, whether they asked what he would have wanted and came back with a number, but they didn't come back with a number. But you know, our focus is Chev Clark. Chev Clark should be Chev Clark's chance to win the British title, so I'm not really worried about what Isaac Chamberlain decides to do, to be honest.
Yes, Frank, is there a possibility that Chev could bypass British level and move on to the European title?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, look, Chev will go at the pace Chev wants to go. And as he's shown in his career, he wants to move very quickly. He wants real tests. So, you know, we'll sit down after this and see where he wants to go. But if he wants that British title fight, we'll push hard to make that happen. And, you know, maybe another purse bid will be pulled out of by someone.
Frank, at the start of the week, you'd sort of said Crocker and Donovan down the line. And obviously, I guess as more people's asking questions, it seems to be in next. What's changed? Is that maybe somebody's slacking, obviously, and saying the UK cards maybe aren't up to the quality they'd liked? What's sort of changed in the last couple of days where you want it next?
I think it's a fight that makes a lot of sense next. I think, like, as I said, you know, so many of these fights in the past we speak about, and people say, wait for it, build it up, and you know, loads of things happen. People move up in weight, people lose, and it changes the value of the fight. I think now's the time to make that fight happen. You know, Lewis coming off the back of a finish like that tonight, Paddy, you know, had albeit a tough fight, I think he did really well, and he showed a lot of heart in there, and he boxed well. But you know, I just think it's the right fight to do next. I'm not saying it definitely happens next, but that's what I'd like to see.
Right. Big success in obviously Belfast today. Have you ever thought of Canada? Coming to Canada, doing a fight there?
I've never been to Canada myself.
Really?
No. I saw it from my hotel room when I was in Detroit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it looked nice though.
Ever thought of doing fights there?
Yeah, for sure. You know, the guys were actually out there a couple of weeks ago for the Callum Smith fight against Beterbiev. They had a number of positive meetings, but yeah, look, we're a global business. We would look to put shows on all around the world, so Canada would definitely be of interest.
Frank, I have to ask you, I'm sorry to kind of get away from the card, but Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall, now there seems to be back and forths and backs. You know, it's all kind of down to the money. DAZN aren't putting this obviously on pay-per-view because you don't believe it is a pay-per-view fight. What's your thoughts on it landing on Sky?
Yeah, look, if that's what, if other people believe it's a pay-per-view fight, fair enough. Look, we represent Jack Catterall, and we've had a great, I think we work really well with Jack Catterall, and we're not going to stand in the way of a fight happening, if we don't see or unable, we're not going to put it on pay-per-view, that fight. It's a brilliant fight, and I believe Jack Catterall goes in there and rights are wrong, and I believe he gets the win in there. But, if there's someone willing to pay an extortionate sum for it, fair play. Jack Catterall will go and make your money, and he'll be right back with us after.
So the fight's obviously not signed.
No. But look, discussion's ongoing. I speak to Sam Jones daily. We don't promote Josh Taylor. He's with Top Rank, but let's see.
Frank, I just want to go back to the Donovan Crocker again. Obviously, the plan was for Paddy Donovan to have a homecoming in Limerick. I've obviously heard maybe there's a potential a card here again in June in Belfast. Does that sort of scupper the plans a wee bit where you wanted maybe do a homecoming for Paddy Donovan? Maybe the right thing maybe to let him have his homecoming, to then build the fight further maybe towards the end of the year, or is it just 100% focused on making that next?
Look, again, they've all got to agree, so I'm just saying that would be I think that's the perfect fight to do next, but it might not be. I might be wrong, and it might not happen. But I think both guys are up there. I think the teams, certain people in the teams are up for it. So let's see. It's something that's got to be worked on over the next week or so.
Is there the potential of an indie fight Conor Benn next?
Who?
For either Paddy or Lewis?
I don't think so. We've obviously seen the names that Conor's calling out. He's got his fight next week. He wants world title fights. So let's see.
Frank, Giorgio Vizioli obviously performed another stunning KO on this card. So how important is it for prospects like Giorgio to perform on the big stage with KOs like that?
100%. They're the kind of, that's what's going to build him. He's had 2 knockouts in the same fashion, back to back, Dublin, then here. He's had 2 fights in just over 2 months now. And we've got to keep him busy and active, and we're going to take him all around the country and all around the world. And if he keeps doing that, he's going to build himself into a huge position. He's a young fighter who's got a massive future, and he is doing exactly what fighters need to do. At the end of the day, you can be a personality, you can do a lot of talking, but people want to see knockouts, and that's what he's doing.
Frank, how long are you guys going to try and
You're
make
quick,
that?
you are, Rico.
Thank you, mate. You can go next, buddy. Are you? How long are you guys going to try and make that Conor Benn and Chris Eubank fight?
Look, I will make it my life's mission personally, but
Oh yeah.
I've done a lot of work on it. I spent a lot of time on it. It's something that I've focused many hours of my life on, but also done a lot of talking about it. And it's a massive fight. Of course, you'd be crazy to think we don't want to make it happen, but at the same time, we're not going to let it hold up Conor Benn's career any longer. If that fight can happen, if people are sensible and we can make that fight happen, then great. But we got to get on with Conor Benn's career. There's many big fights for Conor Benn to make a load of money in, and but I'm not going to sit here and lie and say no, I'm not interested anymore. Of course, we would love to see that.
We saw Eddie had the chance to sit down with Oscar De La Hoya the other day. How do you imagine that went?
I'm sure they got on swimmingly well. The game's changing. Everyone's getting on at the minute. Long may it continue, because if it's for the good of the sport, boxing for too long has had a tough time of maybe not delivering the fights we need to see, and that's probably why UFC's taken over the position that boxing has, because they've delivered fights that people want to see. And I think if more people working together is only going to be good for the sport.
Final one. Ellie Scotty is one of the fighters that's kind of missing from the announcements that he made the other day. Is a unification with Erica Cruz likely, or does Erica have to fulfil that mandatory that was called by the WBA?
This unification could surpass the mandatory, obviously, but conversations ongoing about the next fight for her. The team, I think, Tom Dallas was speaking to her team earlier, so news soon.
Crocker Donovan, back to that. The Irish public and everyone involved in the fight, including Donovan and Crocker and the Conlons and things like that, they seem quite protective over big Irish fights and want to do it very well. Obviously, you guys have been a matchroom. I mean, you guys want to get it done straight away because it's such a great fight. So, how are you going to deal with that? It's almost you're coming back to an old new territory, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, look, we want to make fights that make sense, that sell arenas, and that's a fight that sells arenas. That's a fight
that sells an arena in Ireland, yeah?
Yeah, I think take that to the SSE.
Yeah.
I got in trouble for calling it the Odyssey earlier, but take that to the SSE. That's a fight that makes a lot of sense. People want to see great fights, and that is a great fight. And they're both. It's not like they're 6-0, 5-0. They're both at a stage of their career where that's the kind of fight that makes sense. Again, I might be wrong, maybe it doesn't happen, but that's very much a focus for us to try and get that fight done.
If Matchroom are coming back to Belfast more and more now, is Lewis Crocker the one that's going to be headlining, or do you still see yourselves working with the likes of Mick Conlon if he does continue to fight on?
Yeah, look, it depends. Look, that's a decision for Mick Conlon to make. We've had a great relationship even when we haven't promoted Mick Conlon over the years, and it was great to work with him in December. I'm not sure what decision he's made, but Lewis has got the opportunity to really build on the nights, of Carl Frampton, of Ryan Burnett, of Michael Conlon. And I've said a few times, he's lucky that he's from an area where people really get behind boxing. People want to watch boxing. There's a lot of places all around the world where you don't have that. And he's got the ability to take over and build something special for himself. And we saw the start of that maybe tonight. Maybe we saw the start of that back in December, but tonight was a moment I think that will be, telling for the future.
Right now, at this moment in time, what level do you put Lewis Crocker at? Do you think he's capable of winning the likes of a European title next? Beyond that, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure, but it needs to be built at the right pace, and that's why a fight against Paddy Donovan, they're two equally matched fighters, and that's why I think it makes a lot of sense.
Why did people? I was going to say, why did he come back so quick after the Conlon fight?
Because it made sense. We saw it was a great market that we saw a lot of opportunity in, and the guys were already there and they wanted to fight. So that for us made a lot of sense. It was obviously last minute that we put this show together, but I think it was a successful night.
Frank, Eddie spoke for years of obviously coming to the Ulster Hall with his father years and years ago. You obviously probably got sick of hearing the stories from him. Have you got one up on him tonight? We're obviously had a great start to the UK card for the year. Have you got one up from him? Obviously him in America, where you can go, I was in the Ulster Hall and you weren't?
Yeah, I've never been here before. It's the first time, but a special venue. People comparing it to York Hall, but this is much. York Hall's an amazing place, but this is much nicer than York Hall. This is much more attractive than York Hall, but gives you that same atmosphere, unbelievable atmosphere. And I heard the stories from Eddie. He's out in America with John Ryder ahead of a massive night for him, but yeah, I'll let him know that he missed it.
Frank, am I correct in saying that Anthony Joshua has signed a multi-fight deal to fight in Saudi Arabia, and he will be fighting in Saudi Arabia for the foreseeable future? We're all assuming that he beats Francis Ngannou.
Focus is Francis Ngannou, March 8th. That's the fight. There's big nights in Saudi Arabia. We've seen that. His Excellency, he's done a tremendous job, building some massive fights. But Francis Ngannou is the focus, March 8th. Beyond that, let's see.
Final question for myself. I'm sorry, guys. Ryder Mungui. I always butcher his name. I'm really sorry. Tell me how Ryder wins. I think he wins around the 10th round in a stoppage. How does your man get the victory? I'm
not a tactician. I know not much about boxing. I've always been honest about that. John Ryder, though, I think goes in there and does a job on Jaime Munguia. I think he struggled against Sergei Derenchenko. Many people believe he could have lost that fight, but I think John Ryder's got to go in there, start early. But I think he's got the opportunity to do it, and he's really coming into his own at this part of his career. And it will be a big win for him and set up some huge nights in the future.
Thank you very much, Frank.
I don't know if you saw, Frank, there was speculation today that Gervonta Davis wants to fight in the UK next year. Your thoughts on that, and could it be potentially on a Matchroom show?
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter probably at the same time as you. I don't know who he's going to fight, but yeah, it would be great to see him. He's fought here before, hasn't he? He fought at the Copper Box.
Liam. Who was it he fought?
Liam Walsh.
Liam Walsh, yeah. He fought at the Copper Box. Maybe it'll be somewhere nicer than the Copper Box this time round.
Mate, please, God, I hate that.
Yeah.
Davis did, yeah.
And would you be interested in putting him on one of your shows?
I mean, look, everyone would love to work with Tank. He's a superstar, does massive numbers, and very entertaining. And him and Eddie have had a great relationship over the years, so hopefully we can make something happen.
Do you see any of them PBC guys becoming free now? This Amazon thing, I don't know how that affects everything, but do you think you can pick up some of those big PBC stars at Matchroom because of the changing of the industry, all the TV deals and things like that?
Yeah, look, I think the PBC have got a lot of fighters and probably not the dates to fill for the fighters now. And I think it's going to be tough with a lot of pay-per-view shows. And I do think there'll be opportunities, but let's see. We've always worked with PBC. We've always worked with a number of their fighters. Fighters represented by Tom Brown. We had a great relationship with Louis de Cubas as well. So we've always done business there. So let's see. But there's some big fights to be made, and hopefully we'll see them.
Kate Taylor, could I ask about that quick? How are you getting on with the? We're talking about Croke Park. That sounds like there's some problems. Saw an interview that you seemed like you're quite happy to go to the arena again. Where are you with the Chantelle Cameron Katie Taylor trilogy?
Well, I met with both teams last night and today.
Oh, okay, cool.
Got continued discussions, seeing Katie Taylor and her team again in Vegas next week. They're coming there. It's a fight we'd love to make, and we're working through that detail right now. And hopefully, as soon as there's news, we'll get it out there. Croke Park is very much the focus for us, but my job is to come up with solutions and plans, and not be sitting there thinking, no, we can't do this, we can't do. I just have to. We have to be ready to do anything, and make sure we keep the fighters active.
Are they working with you on the? I know the price point of Croke Park was a big stumbling point. Have you had any luck with that?
I think the price point is the price point of Croke Park. We're in discussions with the government as well, though, about support. But those conversations take time. Any government in the world, it's a procedure you have to go through. It's not an overnight thing. But look, both Katie Taylor and Chantelle Cameron gave us two of the best nights we've seen.
Really good.
Two great nights for the sport, and the kind of nights we need to create to bring boxing, new boxing fans in. I've travelled all around the world. Although I'm young, I've done a lot of shows, and they were two of the best nights I've been at. And you have to commend both those fighters because an atmosphere is great, but they gave us two fights that we'll never forget.
Yeah, and Cameron, how is Chantelle Cameron? Obviously, she was sounded a bit pissed off after the fight, obviously. Sounds like she's back at the negotiating table and happy to come back to Ireland again. So all looks good. It looks like it's only the trilogy you're looking at now.
Well, look, we represent both fighters. We have to do what's right for both fighters. I'd love to make that fight for both of them. I think it's a great fight. Met with her management team earlier today, and the emotions are always high, especially on nights like that. But it's about creating the best possible nights and the best business for both fighters, and that's what we're focused on.